Hey, Jim Roman here, and welcome to another episode of the Jim Roman Show, where we talk about how to run your business better so it doesn't run you. Welcome. This month is Micro to Millions month. This month, I would love to share with you our Micro to Millions process, how it came about and how it works. This is some of my life's work, and I am super excited to be sharing with you this month. Today, we're going to be talking about, as I mentioned, what is the Micro to Millions process, how it came about, and how can it work for you? Footnote though, keep in mind that this can work for companies starting up and companies who've been around for years. In fact, we've worked with these same principles for brand new companies, and veteran companies. These principles apply across the spectrum of businesses as well as industries. Next week, I'm going to be talking about the tools from going from micro to millions. Whether you're trying to go to $250,000 in revenue or $250,000 in sales to $500,000, to $1 million or more, the tools that get you there, I think will be very valuable. We'll be talking about that next week. Throughout this whole series though, what I want to do differently than maybe some of my previous episodes is give you some live examples of actual companies we've worked with to go from micro to millions, because I believe that you can hear these examples that will hopefully inspire you and encourage you to be able to take your business to the next level. And as I mentioned, help you run your business so it doesn't run you. So if this is your first time, we want to welcome you. I am super excited about this particular topic. I've been working on this for 20 years, and I'm looking forward to share those principles to help you perform and be profitable. So let's jump into those principles. So let's talk about how the Micro Millions process came about. And I'm going to give you the short version. So many, many years ago, I was thinking about what causes business to succeed and what causes businesses to fail. So I had the idea, what if I pull the books off my bookshelf and look to see how many of those table of contents talk about being successful? So I pulled off the E-Myth, and there are 6 principles that they talk about being successful. I pulled off, Built to Sell and the principles that they have in becoming successful. And the book after book after book, I went through their table of contents and I wrote them down. And I looked at these things and I was going, wow, there are 28 things to be successful in business. And I'm thinking 28 things? That's overwhelming. As I pondered on the 28 things, I noticed that these things had things in common. In other words, these tables of contents were about sales, and this was about leadership, and this is about time management. And I started to form 8 elements to a more successful business. We now call our balanced approach to business, BALANCED. Everything that we teach from, even in these episodes, or Coffee with the Coach and our soon-to-be Coach's Corner, we're teaching a balanced approach to business. Balance is an acronym. B stands for block timing. You need to block your time to get things done. Those are based out of several books that we've read on the very topic. And so blocking your time to get work done, blocking your time to bring in business makes a huge difference. That's one of the principles to Micro to Millions. The second letter in balance is A1 as I call it, and that is for acquiring clients, bringing in business. You need to bring in business to be in business. And you can call that sales, you can call that marketing, networking. Acquiring clients includes all that, marketing, networking, referrals, and sales. The third principle out of the 28 principles was the L, the leadership. What kind of leader do you want to be? What kind of people do you want to lead? And leadership is a big, big topic, but it's very important to going from micro to millions, staying small, going big, having a life, not having a life. Leadership is very, very, very important. The fourth letter is the second A, or I call A2, and that is for automatic processes. Automatic processes comes out of the book from E-Myth. If you read the book by Michael Gerber, he talks about creating experience for the first customer to be the same as the 1,000th customer. And putting processes in place to make that happen makes a big difference. In fact, John Warlow in the book Built to Sell wrote about how to apply the principles of E-Myth. Great combination of books that I recommend highly, whether you're starting a business, growing your business, or building a business. Then the next letter is N for numbers, knowing your numbers, knowing how you're doing. You'll hear me quote a lot of times when it comes to numbers, is not knowing your numbers is like playing golf without keeping score. You might be having fun, but you don't know if you're winning. And so knowing your numbers makes the biggest difference. Now the next letter is C for clarity. Clarity, that's where actually everything belongs. Clear on where you want to be, clear on what you want to do, clear on what kind of life you want to have. The E in balance is for employees. building a team of people, whether that's virtual employees or actual employees to part of your team, or using vendors and suppliers as your employee team. No one's ever become successful on their own. No one's become successful on their own, but doing it with the team makes the biggest difference. So E is for employees. And then finally, the D, the delivery, creating that experience that not only people rave about you, they give you referrals and reviews to generate more revenue. So years ago, I pulled those books down, I read through the table of contents, and I found 8 elements in common in all of the business books of being successful, whether you're starting out, you're halfway there, or you're really been around a while, is getting those 8 elements. The balanced approach to business makes the biggest difference. So I created an assessment about that. And we're actually updating the assessment called the balanced analysis, where it assesses you. How are you doing? How balanced are you? How balanced aren't you? So I shared that with one of our mastermind sessions, and I gave out the assessment, and everyone scored how balanced they were. And one of the participants said, "Hey, Jim, what do I do next?" And I'm like, "Well, you're doing it. You're part of a mastermind and helping you create a more balanced business." "Yeah, but what do I do next?" And I was like, "I don't understand the question." One of the mastermind participants says, he wants to know, what do you work on first? And I'll be honest with you, I didn't know the answer to the question. I'm like, I don't know what, I just was excited. I came up with balanced, and I created an assessment around that, a diagnostic around that. But what do you do next? I don't know. I now do know. And that is, depending on what your challenge is, depending on what you're trying to accomplish, will determine what do you work on first, second, third, and fourth. In fact, I'll give you some examples of people who worked on a balanced approach to business to go from micro to millions today. And hopefully those stories, those examples will inspire you, encourage you, give you some of the tools to help you with your business and your life. So fast forward to today, what we've done is we've taken people through the balanced approach to business, didn't know what we had at the time, but slowly as we were helping people go through BALANCED, not necessarily that order, but in different orders, we started seeing a pattern. One of our first experience was a commercial insurance person. She went from $200,000 of commission in 1 year to $400,000 in commission. Not only that, she had 5 vacations that year. She ended up in her second year, started to take Fridays off to enjoy the fruits of her labors. And I was like, I think we're onto something. We took someone from $200,000 of commissions to $400,000 of commissions, 5 vacations, and eventually Fridays off. How did we do that? And I started thinking more and more and more, and started taking client after client after client through that process. Even if it's taking one client from $100,000 of sales to $200,000 or $500 to $700, the principles apply. So that's how it came about. Just one day I wanted to know what causes business to succeed, what causes them to fail, go through the table of contents, finding a balanced approach, then applying it company after company after company, result after result after result, and eureka, the micro to millions process came about. So that's how it came about. Now, how does it apply to you? Well, let me give you some examples. I've taken some notes here today to be able to go through some examples applying the balanced approach. And hopefully, again, one of those or 2 of those ideas will inspire you, encourage you to be able to apply that to your business. As I'm going through this, please feel free to comment below, ask questions that you might be having, things like that. Would love to be able to serve you. You know anything about me, it's more about serving than it is about selling. And so I really want to be able to do that. So where do we go from here? Well, let me use a couple of the principles. So one example of becoming a more balanced business reminded me of a client we were working with, this IT company. This IT company came to us and said, "Hey, Jim, we did your 90-day program. You doubled our business. That was great. We went out on our own. We're doing really well. We took our business up to around $680,000, but now I'm stuck. Can you help me?" I'm like, "I don't know. Let me offer you a complimentary coaching session like we do with most of our prospects to see if we're a good fit for them, because if we're not a fit, maybe we can refer you to somebody who is a fit." And so we sat down to figure out what was going on. So they're at $680,000, and what we realized, what got them where they are today doesn't necessarily get you where you want in the future. In fact, your people you have today may not be the people that get you where you want in the future. So in assessing his business, diagnosing his business, really taking a thorough examination of his business, I noticed one thing. I noticed that he was struggling, like most businesses, with bringing in business while getting the work done. Let me say that again. His struggle was he needed to bring in more business, but he had to get the work done at the same time. And the struggle is, how do you do both when you're a small company? So as we started to dig deeper, as an IT company, what we found out is that he could not bring in business and get his people to get the work done at the same time. And so we had to solve two issues: bring in more business to afford more people. But the people he had were not performing. So I was able to reach out to one of my coaches that we consult with, Kay Congdon by Marked by Excellence. I said, hey, Kay, I got a situation. I'm trying to grow this company to $1 million or more. And I have a people problem, a people passion, people position problem. Can you come in and do an assessment and tell me how we can help them? If you want to know more about Kay Congdon, you can visit our Coffee with the Coach we did 2 weeks ago with her, where we talked about hiring right for retention. Great episode of Coffee with the Coach. Check that out, or go to markedbyexcellence.com. Love Kay. She's phenomenal at what she does. And so essentially what we figured out we needed to do, and the owner agreed with this, is that your biggest challenge, we said to him, is that you need to bring in business while getting the work done. And it's hard to get the work done without bringing in more business to pay for those people. And so essentially, long story short, we had to juggle between the two. So ultimately what we did is we figured out how many more sales he needs to bring in on a monthly basis to afford more staff. I'll say that again. We first figured out how many more sales he needed to bring in to afford the staff that he needed. Once we could figure that out, we started to work towards bringing in those sales. Now you're going to probably say, well, Jim, as you're bringing the sales, how did you get the work done? Well, that's the conundrum. That is where the coach comes in, a consultant comes in to push you past the pain that one feels when that happens. So what we did is we were bringing in more sales, 1, 2, 3, let's say for conversation's sake, as we got to 1 and we're halfway through 2, we started hiring for another person. Say that again. We figured we needed to bring 3 more sales a month to be able to afford the people to get the work done. So what we did is started bringing in 1 more sale. Halfway to number 2 sale, we started hiring for that person. So that when that number 2 sale came in, we had the money and the help to do it. And there's an art and science to that. I can't really go into the exact art and science because for you, it may be different depending on your staff, depending on your industry, but get the point that sometimes you have to plan it before you can get the performance out of it. And in this case, 1, 2, 3, it was 1, 2, start to hire, 2, hire, wait, develop, train, perform, sell the third one, be able to pay for it, and voila. That, my friends, is how we helped him to start going from micro on his way to millions. When we finished working up with them, they finished at 1.1 million. I hear they're doing great now. Years later, they're doing amazing, continue to do amazing work in the industry. I'm so proud of them. I'm so happy for them. And I wish them all the best. So hopefully you can see in that example, we're getting, if you're micro or million, that we need to figure out how much we need to bring in to be able to get stuff off our plate. Bring in business to hire more people. Bring in business to hire vendors, suppliers, virtual assistants, softwares and systems. And there's that art and science, that juggling between that. And that's where a coach or a consultant comes in to be able to help you to do that. So if you wouldn't mind, whether you're watching this live or recorded, to comment below what insight or aha did you get out of that? Again, whether you're watching this live or the recording, please comment below what aha or insight are you getting from that example, live example of one of the companies that we help go from micro to millions. Example number 2. Example number 2 was a construction company that we worked with. They did custom decks. Now, this company was successful prior to hiring us. They were doing around $2 million in revenue, great product, great company, great people. But the challenge that they were having is that they were doing $2 million in revenue, but they did not have any cash left over. And that's why they reached out to us and said, hey, we're doing 2 million. Where's the money? Where's the money? Now, by the way, just for those listening here, I have a third example for those micro companies. So if you think this is just for $1 million companies, it's not. It is actually for micro companies, the smaller companies. My third example today will be about that. So stick around. So going back to this construction company that does custom decks, they were doing 2 million a year, and we were trying to figure out where the cash was. I did not know. Again, we offer a complimentary coaching session to see if we're a fit. If we're not a fit, we'll refer somebody that is. And we try to start to uncover and discover. And we found out 2 things they could do to improve the performance of their business. One is to improve cash flow, and number 2 is to improve their crews or their crews, right? Let's talk about that. You want to talk about the cash, or do you want to talk about the crews? Because if your crews are performing, you get more cash. So let's talk about the cash first. So we work with the cash, and what we found out is that, let's just say for conversation's sake, they needed to sell $100,000 worth of decks a month, 100,000. Now you could do this with 50,000, 10,000, 200,000, whatever that number is for you. In this example, it was $100,000 they needed to do a month. Well, interesting enough, they were selling $110,000 to $120,000 a month in decks, in services, but they didn't have the money. And I'm thinking, what? I'm confused. Like we were so excited. We got them to 100,000, 110,000, like, wow. But what we found out they weren't doing is they weren't completing $100,000 worth of work. And if you can complete $100,000 of work, you then collect $100,000 worth of checks. So we come up with the saying that I love sharing with construction companies, contracting companies, is that if you really want to get to $1 million or more, $500,000 or more, I don't care what more you want, is you need to close, complete, and collect that amount per month. I probably shouldn't have told you that secret, but I'm here to serve, and hopefully someday you buy from us. That being said, remember, close enough sales, complete enough jobs so you can collect the money. Once we cracked the code for that, they went to the next level. Next level. In addition to that, we realized in looking at their crews weren't always performing. You probably have contractors who work for you if you're in the construction industry, and not every contractor is the best that they can be, but you put up with it. I won't go into the details of it. Ultimately, they had X amount of crews. When we got done assessing those crews, we shrunk the number of crews because we wanted to work with the crews that were going to make us money, not cost us money. So you can see we got the cash and the crew, the art and the science of taking them to the next level. So maybe for you in your business, you're not completing or closing or collecting enough on a monthly basis. And that's all you need to figure out and do to take your business to the next level. Do me a favor and comment below your questions or any ahas that you're having in this moment, that how cash affects your success or how your crews or your people affect your success. Comment below. I really would appreciate that. And finally, my last example is my micro example. This was another construction company, contracting company that we were helping. We'll call it a home improvement remodeling business, okay? Remodeling business, home improvement business. They first came to us, new to business. Long story short, we started growing their business, and they ended up going to $1 million or more, which was really exciting. But how did they get there? And how can you get to the next level yourself? So one of the things that we did with this company, we got them to $250,000, then we got to $500,000, then we got to $1 million or more, okay? How did we do that? Well, in this particular example, we figured out that their biggest crux, their biggest bottleneck was their average sale. When you start in business, you'll probably sell anybody. Anybody who's willing to buy from you, whether it's IT service, chiropractic services, property manager service, real estate service, you'll take just about anybody when you start your business. Over time, you realize, well, I can't help anybody, especially people who are broke. I need to help certain people that are in my target market. So then once you figure out your target market, the type of people who not only need and want your service, but are willing to buy your service, you go after them. In this example, and I took some math, so I'm looking at my paper here, their average sale to do their service, go out to someone's home at that time was $2,000. So if you called them up for their construction service, whether it's putting a railing up on your back deck or fixing a wall in your home or whatever repair that you needed, construction craftsman you needed, on average, the ticket was $2,000. And they said they wanted to go to the next level. So what we realized is they probably had to increase the average customer size or order for them to be able to do that. So at some point, we got them to $6,000 on average sale, to ultimately, when we finished working up with them, to $8,000 or more per sale. Now, why is this important? Knowing the numbers, knowing the math. So let's just say, for argument's sake, you want to do $25,000 a month in revenue. And if your average sale is $2,000, that means you have to do 12.5 deals or 12.5 projects per month. Now, if you wanted to do $50,000 of revenue per month, you would have to do 25 deals or projects a month. And doing the math, he's like, we can't do that. We can't do that many projects. We don't have that many manpowers. We just can't pull that off, trying to put up a new deck on a 2-story condo, or to be able to remodeling of one of their bathrooms or rooms. We can only do 70 projects per month. And so one of my coaches said to our client, well, then it looks like you have to increase your average sales. So essentially say no to jobs $2,000 and below, and start saying yes to $6,000 and above to jobs. How does that math work out? So again, if I want to do $25,000 a month, $25,000 a year, and my average ticket is, or sale is $2,000, I need to do 12.5 projects per month. But if I increase to $6,000 on average per project, I only have to do 4 jobs or projects a month. That's 1 a week. And then if I go up to 8,000, that's only 3 a month, or 1 every month, a week and a half per se. If I wanted to go to $50,000 of revenue per month or per year, average ticket 2,000, I would need 25 jobs. That's pretty much impossible in most industries. But if I go to 6,000, trying to hit 50,000, I would only have to do 8 jobs a month or 2 a week. And then if I ultimately want to do $50,000 a month or $500,000 a year, I would do 8,000. I would only have to do 6 jobs. See, knowing the math, knowing the numbers makes the world of difference. For some of you right now, you're targeting a market that the average ticket is too small. For example, if you're a realtor and you're selling houses at 150, where at 250, you can make more money for the same amount of work. And I'm told if you sell $500,000 houses, you'll make more money. And at that level, it's less work because those people know what they want, where someone at 150 may not know exactly what they want. It'll take a lot longer. If you're in property management, you might want to look at your average deal or average investor when they have 1 door versus 3 doors versus 5 doors. Finding investors and owners who have 5 or more doors might be your ticket to getting to the next level. Or the average revenue per door, you can increase that versus low revenue, higher revenue without feeding people to death. I can go on and on and on based on your industry. In fact, what I would love to know for future episodes, next week, the week to follow, what industry are you in and what challenges are you facing? Because I probably have experienced it, at least myself or one of my coaches, so that we can help you to build that better business, to build a better life. So in closing, I want to thank you for being here for this special episode. This is just a primer for this month about how to go from micro to millions. Again, whether you want to go to $250,000 in sales or revenue, or $500,000 or $1 million or more, these principles apply by creating a more balanced business. If you'd like to find out more about our balanced analysis, email me, message me. I'll get you a special invitation to that assessment that is being updated as we speak. But more importantly, please share with us how we can serve you in 2021, 2022, and beyond. What industry you're in, what challenges you're facing, put those down below so that we can include that next week in our session when we're going to be talking about the tools that take you from micro to millions, the 3 tools we find that make the biggest difference. So as I finish up, I just want to thank you all for being here today. Thank you for being a part of our community. Again, I'm Jim Roman. The more you know, the more we grow.